So I've been seeing this guy, 30, Kevin, for several months now. We'd visit each other weekly, and last week he spent the night with me. The next morning I woke up at 9 a.m. and couldn't find him or my car. I searched for the car key in the bottom drawer of my son's room. I usually hide it there, and no one knows about this secret place, but couldn't find it. I freaked out and tried calling Kevin, but his phone was dead. So I called the police after waiting 10 minutes. Shortly after, I discovered that Kevin was found with my car at the supermarket's parking lot. Authorities took him in and the car was returned. He was fuming at me, saying I shouldn't have called the cops because he took the car to go buy us breakfast. In my defense, I said he never asked for my permission and I never gave him the okay to drive it. He argued that he thought I wouldn't mind, much less escalate and call the cops after he's done a nice thing for my son and me. He said he never had issues with the cops, but because of me, now they thought he was a thief. We haven't talked since then. His brother kept scolding me, saying I messed up and acted stupidly. Am I the idiot for freaking out and calling the cops? I was curious to know how he got the key. Not the idiot. Excuse me, has he been snooping in your child's room? Red flag. Are you serious? He rifled through your house to find a key to your car that he took without permission. Do you know his driving history? Does he even have a license? This guy way overstepped. He could have left you a note instead of disappearing with your property without permission. He stole your car. Never mind his intention. He could have taken an Uber. He took your key, he took your car. He didn't leave a note, and he didn't answer his phone. He thought you wouldn't mind. I would like to know if some guy I only knew for a few months stole my car. I highly doubt Kevin was getting you breakfast. I bet he was meeting someone in that parking lot to exchange something, which is why he was angry cops were involved, and he tried to flip the script and make himself look like the victim. I'm telling you, he's up to no good. OP, you need a zero-tolerance policy for sketchy behavior and other kinds of BS from your boyfriends. Forget him stealing your car, but what was he doing in your son's room where I'm assuming your son was sleeping, rifling through his stuff while you were unable to intervene because you were sleeping? This guy's a creep, and you must keep him away from your family. Agree. How did he even find the key? Did he go through everything in the house before going to the kids' room? Because it's not where you expect a person to keep their key. This guy sounds like bad news. We can all agree on that. But I'm curious as to what caused OP to start hiding her car keys in her son's bottom drawer. I've only heard of someone needing a daily secret hiding spot for their keys if they live with some unsavory characters. Like many, I usually keep my car keys near the door if I need to leave quickly. I just assumed it was the spare key, but that's what I'm wondering. Did he snoop through the kid's room, find the keys, and then decide to take the car? Or did he search the entire house to find the keys? Either way, it's bad. He then found the keys, and instead of leaving them because OP obviously hit them and therefore very likely doesn't want the car to be taken, he thought it'd be fine to take them to buy breakfast? Clearly OP is in some horrible circle. Let's hope she gets out of it. I, 18 female, had my first real job out of high school. I was working in a warehouse, and I was going to apprentice as a parts technician. My dad helped me get the job. My mom hates that I didn't have a girly job. She would constantly call and even show up there. I told her to please stop, that my boss didn't like her interruptions of my day. She would stop for a bit and then do it again. I finally blew my top and told her to leave me the heck alone at work. She went on Facebook and complained about how I was an ingrate for not wanting to see my mom. A bunch of people started saying that I was being mean to my mom, that she meant well, and that she wasn't hurting me. Last week, she showed up again. She tried to come in the back when I wouldn't come out to see her. My boss was done and I was fired. My dad says he'll help me try to get another job, but I'm angry. So I went on Facebook and found every person who had called me mean and said that she wasn't hurting me. I spelled out why I got fired, and I asked them to help me out with some money since her actions had cost me my job. Now they're suddenly turning on her, calling her overbearing and saying they didn't realize she was jeopardizing my employment, but they have yet to send any money. I don't really need it. I live with my dad, and he says that as long as I'm in school or apprenticing, I don't need to pay for anything except my phone. My mom keeps calling and texting me, asking me to stop telling people that she got me fired, and that I'm embarrassing her by asking the people who supported her for money. I think I'm right about showing everyone who she is. My dad said he's staying out of it. He said that the way she acts is the reason they got divorced. Not the idiot. Screw around and see. She got you fired. You told people the truth about what happened. I hope she's happy. When you get another job, I wouldn't tell her where. I'm sorry this happened to you. You have to find ways to manage her so she doesn't interfere with your job or future plans. This reeks of mom intentionally sabotaging OP to force her to get a job that mom thinks is suitable as a girl. She will continue this for sure. It would have been great if the boss had told her mom she was banned from the store rather than firing OP. Sounds like a bad boss, actually. Clearly, warning and removing the mother from the premises wasn't working. So at some point, the boss had to fire what had become a hindrance to the work. A reminder, if her mother got hurt on the premises, she could still sue them for damages, regardless of whether she was allowed there, like with the robber who was injured breaking into someone's house and sued them and won. Piece of advice. People are saying go no contact, but I don't think that's right. Get a letter from your boss stating why you were fired, your mother's behavior, and get a restraining order. She straight up stalked you at your work and got you fired. That is grounds for a restraining order. My husband Josh, 29, and I, 27 female, just had our wedding a couple of weeks ago, and we mostly got good feedback until today. We've heard that a lot of people have been smack-talking the cake behind our backs. Josh and I originally were going to have a smaller wedding at a resort. However, we were fortunate enough to be given some money to invite extra guests, so we decided to expand the wedding and have some of our second cousins, their kids, and some friends that we otherwise don't see as often. We are on a budget, so we decided to keep the fancy cake, the cutting cake for the pictures, not the real cake, for immediate family, the pastor, and a few members of the wedding party that we have known the longest. We gave them the cake in boxes to take home, though, so they wouldn't eat it in front of everyone else, minus the pastor, because he flew in from far away and he's vegan, so he couldn't eat the dinner, and we wanted him to have something to eat before it got too late. We got a couple of sheet cakes. One was vanilla and buttercream with rosettes, and then there was another sheet cake of pineapple chocolate chunks, especially for Josh's side of the family, because they spent a lot of time in Florida. We found out from talking with the family that there were a lot of full slices left behind on people's plate of the pineapple cake. The servers wouldn't take it home with them, so we noticed you could see it in a lot of pictures. We were having so much fun at the time because we loved catching up with all of our guests. Apparently, Josh's family did not like the cake like we thought they would, and there have been some unkind words behind our backs. We got a text from Josh's uncle that we weren't meant to see it, and it stung. We're still determining where to go from here and what to say. The cake didn't go off as we had hoped, but they were unnecessarily mean. By the way, there was a full dinner, 3 kinds of cheese, even Monterey Jack available, and an open bar that didn't close until late. So I feel like we were pretty good to our guests on a shoestring budget. I am worried that we may have made the wrong choice, etiquette-wise, because everyone sounds like their feelings have been hurt. I gave out 2 different flavors of cake at our wedding. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, but I am a bit confused about what Josh's family spending a lot of time in Florida has to do with deciding to have pineapple chocolate cake. I lived in Florida for almost a decade, and I can confidently tell you that there is zero connotation between Florida and pineapples. I think you're confusing Florida with Hawaii, LOL. But beyond that, the combination of pineapple and chocolate sounds yucky, and I think that's likely what people are speculating on. Honestly, I wouldn't sweat it. Everyone will forget about it shortly, I'm sure. What matters is if you enjoyed your wedding. Personally, I'm stuck on the cheese comment. That one needs an explanation. I have Monterey Jack in my fridge right now. It goes on sandwiches. I can pick it up at the grocery store next to the lunch meats. I didn't know I was so bougie. Wow, so fancy. Can I come to your mansion for a nice cheese platter of Monterey Jack and extremely mild cheddar? Maybe if we get really crazy, we can open up a couple of packs of string cheese. I really want to know what the other 2 kinds of cheese were, considering that they're less fancy and exciting than Monterey Jack. I'm thinking that prepared cheese and cracker snack with the tiny red plastic stick for spreading the cheese. I'm going to be laughing at even Monterey Jack for days, so thank you for that. Everyone's the idiot here. You went about this in a very strange way. Usually when there are multiple dessert options at a wedding, people get to choose. You could have had the servers ask people what they wanted or serve the cake from a buffet table. Granted, you would have run out of vanilla buttercream anyway, because chocolate pineapple is a strange combination. The problem isn't your flavor choice as much as it is forcing it on half your guests. Family sucks because they shouldn't have let their complaining get back to you though. Also, not having a real meal for your pastor was crappy. Caterers do offer vegan options. I recently married my incredible husband, and the wedding was pretty perfect, though there was a bit of family drama. I didn't realize this was even an issue until I saw mother-in-law recently, and she was very cold to me. For our wedding, the immediate family was asked to wear the colors, so my mom had raspberry, and my mother-in-law had a beautiful turquoise. This was a big formal wedding, and it felt like the right choice for us. Mother-in-law expressed no problem, probably because she got one of her favorite colors. A few days before the wedding, mother-in-law had a serious riding accident, and both of her wrists were broken. I am empathetic and can't imagine having 2 casts on. I guessed mother-in-law hadn't practiced eating with a fork with both arms in a cast, and when she tried to eat at the reception, she got a pretty noticeable stain on the front of her dress. Mother-in-law got super uptight about stuff like that and needed the dress off immediately. She went to change and came back wearing a white cocktail dress. I was in shock, and my maid of honor just looked at me like, "What?" We went over and gently confronted mother-in-law. She said that it was the only other dress she had, as she had brought it to go out with her boyfriend the following night. I said that she couldn't wear white at my wedding, and she rolled her eyes. She snapped at me that her wrists were broken and told me to leave her alone. She tried saying it was fine because it was a cocktail dress and not floor length, but I was really uncomfortable. I asked her to please put on the other dress, and she said she's not wearing a food-stained dress. I found my husband and told him how uncomfortable I was, and he told her to put the other dress back on or leave, so she left. I got a lot of crap the rest of the night from their side of the family. I thought we were over it, but she was super cranky the other day, so I was wondering if I was too much of an idiot. You are the idiot. Both of her wrists were broken, and you were stressing about what color she was wearing after dinner? You sound really cold. She'll be your mother-in-law for a long time, and you're getting off to a bad start. I don't believe apologies fix everything, but you certainly owe her one. If you really think that your husband is incredible, show a little kindness to his mother. I can't believe they asked mother-in-law to leave the reception. That's despicable. I'm mystified that OP is surprised that mother-in-law is still upset. This obviously hurt mother-in-law, and OP's all la-di-da. Aren't you over that? OP, I don't know how you'll ever make this right with a mother-in-law, but I hope you'll try. You are totally out of touch with reality. My actual literal mother wore a white cocktail dress to my wedding. Know why? Because she felt pretty in it, and she's dealt with body image issues for a long time. So if she feels pretty in something, it's huge. She showed me a picture and I told her she looked great, and no one thought she was the bride. OP sucks so bad here. Mother-in-law's accident happened at the reception, not the ceremony. She didn't try to upstage OP with a change of attire. And this BS about you being uncomfortable because she's wearing a white dress? Seriously? Absolutely shut the heck up. Uncomfortable? No, you wanted all eyes on you and that's it. You didn't care about anything but yourself here. It's sickening. Even the gouge to her saying, I guess she didn't practice eating with her arms in 2 casts. Do you know how hard it would be to eat like that? And to go out of your way to say what you did and make her feel bad about her injury is despicable. Are you so insecure that you thought that people would forget that you're the person in the big flowing white gown that just walked down the aisle? Of course you are the idiot. And don't act like you felt bad that she was wearing 2 casts and probably in pain. Obviously, you have no empathy or compassion for anyone else. I'm English, living in the US while I finish my university course. As soon as I've finished, I plan on going home. My boyfriend has always said he'll come with me, especially because we're expecting a baby. I want the baby to grow up where I grew up, more countryside, etc. I'm about as emotional as ever now, near the end of my pregnancy. His family is huge on Thanksgiving. We've only been together for one Thanksgiving, and it was nightmarish. Number one, I couldn't eat much since everything had meat, although that's weirdly common here, and they poked fun at my accent the entire time. 2, I've spoken to him and them and said I don't appreciate the jabs but got ignored. It is worsened during pregnancy. 3, I offered to bring food to eat and was told not to be difficult. 4, I asked them if they'd cook something I could eat, but again got called difficult and fussy. The teasing has gotten worse during pregnancy. I've said to them, I'd be fine staying here and living here in permanent housing, but my boyfriend is insistent we move back to my home. I don't want to go this year, but as we're planning on moving back to my home in 2 years, my partner says I should make sacrifices like he is. So I'm just refusing. It's not as important to me as it is to him, and obviously he's upset. He claims I've not tried to settle here, etc., and that his family has been welcoming and that's important to him. Maybe I haven't tried to settle. I love the heat because we don't get that at home half the time, but I miss my area's community. I did say we do roast every Sunday, which is basically the same thing, but better, which was a joke. And I don't feel, while pregnant, like spending the day being poked fun of and not being able to eat. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. So his family makes fun of you while you're pregnant? You've been told you can't bring your own food, and they let you starve when you're pregnant. And you're not trying to keep him from going. They're mocking you, and he's not defending you. They sound the opposite of welcoming. Yes, relocating is a big thing to do, but that doesn't mean you should have to spend a day with people who treat you poorly. Surely the compromise is that he goes to Thanksgiving with his awful family, and you stay home and have a quiet day. If he's not willing to compromise on this, when you've made clear how uncomfortable his family makes you, and while you're super pregnant, co-parenting will not go well once the baby's there. Also, they're making fun of your accent. What do you think they'll do and say to your child? Your child, who you want to grow up in the UK, in other words, will have the same accent as you. I get that you love this man, but he's not being supportive of you. Yeah, OP, you should have your baby in the UK if you can still travel, because I'm seeing a lot of red flags regarding his family and his unwillingness to back you up in completely reasonable things, like, hey, I don't want to be made fun of all the time, and hey, it would be nice to have food that I can eat. I'm worried that if you have a baby in the US, your boyfriend will change his mind 2 years later, and then you'll be stuck needing and not getting his permission to take your child out of the country. Yes, this was my fear as well. If I were OP, I'd leave now. I'm concerned he might change his mind once the baby's born. He can make things extremely difficult for her to take the child out of the country. We've seen similar stories of parents fighting for primary custody from both sides. Be careful, OP, and get as much proof as possible in writing, emails, text, even a partner-parent contract. I'm sorry you have a boyfriend problem.